It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Thursday, may not be a beautiful Friday. We may have a little bit of rain, but all things considered, really good. And again, even with the black backdrop gone, we're looking a little dark in here. What do you think's going on, Billy?
I don't know.
You think if we paid the light bill, it'd be any better?
Probably not.
Yeah. It is a little darker, though, isn't it?
Maybe a little bit.
Let's bring Kelly Holcomb in. We got a little quiz for old Kelly. Hello,
Hey,
Kelly.
It helps you with it being a little darker, though. It does help.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
In what way?
People don't want to see your face. There's got to be a bulb or something that has gone haywire above y'all.
Yeah, I know it. I don't know where it is.
I mean, you're at the Fourth Ice Center in Bellevue. Figure it out, George. I mean, go to the big wigs in the front office and tell them to fix it.
Okay, I got a little quiz for you because you've identified where we are. We're at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. I'm going to point in this direction. Okay. That way.
Okay.
What's over there right now?
That's the hockey rink that you're right. That's the
yes.
Are we
in this direction is a hockey rink.
I know, but am I going past the Ford Ice Center or am I staying in the Ford Ice Center?
Oh no, you're in the Ford Ice Center.
What's over there?
In that direction. Well, I'm asking you. What's over there?
Are the Preds practicing there?
No.
Okay, well then I don't know. No clue.
Think. Use your brain.
I don't want to think too much, dude. That's why I'm on this show.
That's nice. The answer. Vancouver Canucks.
I didn't hear a word of that. What was it?
The Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, they're practicing.
They're 50 feet away from me.
Are you taking some tips? Are you taking some notes? Are you trying to give it to Barry Trotz later on?
It looked to me like some of them were wearing blue and some were wearing white. That's about as far as I can go with it.
The Canucks.
Billy, what did you notice?
I was pretty close though with the Preds. I mean,
yeah,
you got to give me that.
Yeah. Billy, you illegally spied on them. What have you seen?
Well, I've noticed they're not as big as I expected them to be, but we are elevated, so we're not at rink level.
You're looking down on them.
Yeah, we're looking down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But Zadorov is big. I'll say that.
He's a big boy. He's one you might want to find.
Yeah.
When you're playing him, because he's an important piece of it. Tomorrow night, 6:30, I have done a little bit of ticket investigating.
Have you sold your ticket?
Oh, good Lord, no.
You're not giving it to Billy?
No. Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, can you believe that, Kelly?
No.
That is messed up, Billy.
After all I've done for him.
I have given Billy tickets in the past, and I'm not convinced that he has really wanted to sit with me.
Are you trying to sell that ticket, George?
No, I'm not. Absolutely.
Who you giving it to then?
I mean, I don't want to reveal that, but let me tell you what I am going to reveal. Okay. So for a friend of mine last night, I did some price checking. Let's just use StubHub. Okay. If you want 2 tickets up in the upper deck, here's one for 108, 110, 112, 117, 119, 121, 125. See if I can find my section, which is 304. See if I'm smart enough to know how to do this. Section 304, there are tickets for 134, 160, 165, $130 one sold an hour ago. Anyway, most of it's triple digits.
Yep.
George, why don't you reveal to us where you went today? Did you have another Rotary speech you had to give?
A Battleground Academy alumni function.
Oh, gosh.
Did you give any money?
I have given way more than you have.
Yeah, I was going to say, Billy,
since-
you've given nilch.
Yeah, you're a cheapskate.
And how old are you, George?
What a moocher.
At this age, I should be more worried about tombstones. Okay. And you should be worried about philanthropy.
At 24, how much had you given to BGA?
More than you have.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I cared about my school.
Oh, gosh.
Back then, I put my money where my mouth was.
Save it, George.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the question is, do they like you? Do they bring you back with open arms at BGA?
It's hard to tell. I'm in their Hall of Fame. You know that?
Hall of Fame for what?
For excellence in life.
Oh my gosh. That's where the money went right there, Billy. He had to pay his way into the Hoff.
No, that did not happen. No, if I had to pay my way into anything, it wouldn't happen. Well, no, what was your problem?
What was my problem?
Yeah, I heard you say, let's move on or something.
He's just trying to get an update.
Let's move on to the update.
Yeah, let's move on.
If you had anything other than the review of last night's games, we'd probably get to it earlier.
Well, there's not much else going on.
I don't believe that. Isn't there an NFL draft? Aren't there trades?
There's no trades.
No trades?
Not yet.
No trades so far. They don't happen until right before the draft. But it is tonight. And Mel Kiper's final prediction for the Titans, he says they're going to take a tackle or a receiver at number 7. The need at offensive tackle is too great, he says. It can't afford to trade down, right? But what if Rome Odunze is available? That would be appealing, especially if Joe Alt is off the board. And Kiper also said we could see 6 or 7 more in the top 32 go in terms of offensive tackles.
As a lot of you know, I really struggle with the game of golf. But let me say this. If I could get a lie in the fairway in his hair, I'd be a hell of a golfer. He has boofed that hair up.
He's got it looking good, though.
He's got a lot of product in there.
Yeah.
I think.
But still, I think he's talked about it before. I still don't understand how he got his start in that garbage, but it's unbelievable.
It's probably a little bit like Lenardi. He was the one guy out there at the time who cared enough to, kind of create an industry out of it. Honestly, that's probably the answer.
It's incredible how long he's been doing it.
Oh, man.
And we'll see him tonight on however many networks there. ESPN, NFL Network. Bears will have the number 1 overall pick. The Titans, Field Yates, has them taking Joe Alt. So does everybody else in all of their mock drafts.
Mm-hmm.
But George, I'll be able to pull these pictures up a little bit later in the show. But the Chicago Bears have unveiled a $5 billion proposal for a new domed lakefront stadium. It'll be enclosed right next door to where Soldier Field is. They're asking for public funding to help make it happen.
Sure they are.
It calls for $3.2 billion for the new stadium, plus an additional $1.5 billion in infrastructure. And the proposal calls for $2 billion from the Bears, $300 million from an NFL loan, and $900 million in bonds from the state. So that's some of the info on the Bears. We'll see when that happens.
They doing PSLs?
I would guess so.
Yeah. Great.
$5 billion?
It's absurd.
And
Crazy.
it looks, the pictures, I'll show it a little bit later, but it looks just like the Titans, what the Titans have proposed. So it feels like that's the new wave of NFL stadiums.
And they may well be, going to some of the same thing. NFL may have put a model together of here's what we want out of these. And,
Yeah. Last night in the NBA, the Heat beat the Celtics 111-101, and that series is tied at 1.
If you saw that coming, you're lying.
What did the Heat hit? 23 threes last night, I think it was. Tyler Hero.
Old Tyler was a hero.
Yep. Jaylen Brown had 33, but Celtics, not enough last night for the Heat. So that one's tied at 1 going back to Miami.
This is a little warning sign for the Celtics. Not so fast.
And Miami always gives them a good series, too.
We do not give out
play
the trophy in April.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Celtics fans are not going to be happy if they choke again this year. The Thunder last night, they beat the Pelicans 124-92. They lead 2-0. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 33 points. Tonight, the Cavs and Magic. That one is in Orlando at 6 o'clock. The Knicks are in Philly, no longer in Madison Square Garden. They'll play the Sixers tonight at 6:30. No organ up in Philly, so you don't get to hear that. And then the Lakers and the Nuggets tonight at 9 o'clock.
They've got one out there. You'll hear it. That's a game worth watching because the Lakers, they've got to empty all the barrels tonight. They've been really good in Denver, and they haven't gotten squat to show for it. They got to win tonight.
They have to. And
I'm not – you know what, Billy? They may be the second best team in the West, and the problem is they're playing the best team in the West.
You're saying the Lakers?
I'm saying what I've seen in the first 2 games in Denver. The Lakers have ratcheted up a level that I didn't know they had.
Yep.
And Anthony Davis, who at times has been MIA in the past, man, he has shown up huge.
He has. And, LeBron can only do so much for him now that he's in his 21st year. You got to have Russell. You got to have Davis. There's just more pressure, so much pressure on everybody else in the Lakers. So we got that tonight. Last night in the NHL, Bruins battled back. They beat the Maple Leafs, and they now lead the series 2-1. And that one was in Toronto. And, that was a phenomenal atmosphere, but the Bruins got it done. Golden Knights beat the Stars 3-1. Vegas is up 2-0. I mean, I don't know what has gotten into Dallas.
Go to the last one.
And the Kings beat the Oilers 5-4.
What if your final 4 in the West are the LA Kings, Vegas, the Preds, and Winnipeg?
Can't say I expected that. But
I'm going to tell you what,
playoffs.
all of a sudden the West may be wide open for somebody.
You talk about luck, needing luck in the playoffs in any tournament.
Getting Dallas out.
The first one for the Preds was getting Thatcher Demko out. And now if you can get Edmonton out and play the Kings instead of the Oilers.
Bring it on.
And then on the other side at the top, starting to look good for the Preds all of a sudden.
It's out there to be discussed. Tomorrow night is huge.
Massive.
I'll be there early. Kelly, what about you?
I'll watch.
Yeah, you'll be asleep by 8.
6:30.
Yeah. Your wife will have to wake you up. It's pitiful. You've got to have more endurance.
I'll be honest with you. At 50, I used to consider myself pretty tough, but I've gotten soft as a fig Newton. There's no question. I'll give you that.
Tonight,
What else, Billy?
The Panthers and the Lightning, 6 o'clock. That's game 3. Panthers lead at 2-0. They can go up 3 games there. And you got the Canes and the Islanders. Canes lead that one 2-0. So, but the other side of the bracket, we talk about this left side here. As I pull this up, that right side is looking pretty chalky, at least so far. So
Carolina, Rangers, Boston, Florida Panthers.
all up 2-0.
Let them all beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah. But, okay, one more piece of news. Jaden Rashada. I remember talking about him and the NIL deal that fell through with Florida. He's joining Georgia after leaving Arizona State. He appeared in just 3 games for for the Sun Devils last year, passed for 485 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was a top 30 recruit in the 2023 class. I mean, he was supposed to be their starter last year, but he missed most of the year with a knee injury. But Jaden Rashada headed to Georgia.
What's he getting? A lifetime pass to the Masters?
Yeah.
That's what I was about to ask. What is he getting, Billy? Did it say?
Well, it didn't say, but his $13 million NIL deal fell through with Florida, which was ridiculous.
$13 million?
Yeah. I mean, I think
that was over 4 years.
Over 4 years, yeah. But
I don't care. $13 million? Are we serious?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But he's probably getting a good sum.
Kelly,
headed to Georgia.
Repeat after me. We have lost our way.
Oh, our way's been lost a long time, George, and now it's just getting stupid.
Yeah. Your update is over.
It's complete.
Okay. After the break, Terry McCormick will join us. By the way, during one of these segments with Terry, we will reveal our predictions for what's going to happen tonight on 4 fronts of interest. Who are the Titans picking? Who is New England picking? Who is Minnesota picking? And where will Brock Bowers end up?
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Yeah, whatever.
That's the best chime.
It's great on Thursday night, but by Saturday, you're just like, oh, when is this thing over?
Agree.
Okay, will you be watching on Saturday, Kelly?
No.
The draft?
Yes.
No. I may not even watch tonight.
Really? Way to keep up.
What?
Yeah. I may not even watch tonight. I may turn it on. That just gets so nauseating for me. Whatever. I mean, I know who they'll pick. For me, the NFL has made it such a fan experience. But I told my wife today, I guess it's because I played. I just cannot see me going out in those rows of people and being so excited about that stuff. I don't get it. But I guess it's because I played. I don't know. I know it was a great time here in Nashville. And I think Nashville did a great job, one of the best ever. But like I don't understand the phenomenon with that stuff. I don't get it.
Describe if you had been, let's say, the best quarterback in the draft your year. You were invited and all those around you were all gussied up. Would you have come out looking like this?
No, I would not have. But it's really funny because my kids make fun of me because of the old suits that I have, and they're those big suits. You've seen the commercial with those basketball players that come out, and have the big suits on back in the day. I forget who it is. But yeah, that's how I look. So yeah, I would probably have one of those big nasty suits on. Not in style anymore.
Let's bring Terry McCormick from Main Street Media into the picture. We will get Terry sponsored here in just a moment. Terry, how are you?
Doing well, George. How are you guys?
So you're stuck for 3 days of this, correct?
Pretty much.
Is Saturday not a little snooze fest?
Oh, you get into the 6th round and you're thinking, hey, this is almost over. But then you realize there are about 42 compensatory picks in the 6th round, and it just runs forever.
Yeah. So let's start with this. Go, Billy.
This Titans draft update is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can visit her online at mortgageladyyusa.com. That's mortgageladyyusa.com. Okay.
Let's put our predictions up there. These are, of course, exclusive, whatever that means. And here's what we all thought. Okay? So 3 of the 4 of us chose Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Billy, you went J.C. Latham. I'm guessing you're saying that the Chargers are going to get Alt.
Yeah, and I've heard some different things. I'm not degrading Alt at all, but I have heard that J.C. Latham might have more potential. I know Kelly doesn't like that word and projects well. But, yeah, I do think there's a chance that the Chargers, end up taking Alt or maybe even someone else just because of the needs there.
Okay, all 4 of us believe that Drake May will be the pick of New England in the 3-hole. Terry, are you surprised at how bad he's gotten dusted by people in the last 2-3 months? It's like he's got a disease.
Yeah, it's interesting. He kind of got overtaken by Jaden Daniels with the year that Daniels had at LSU winning the Heisman. But I'd be a little leery myself of Daniels simply for the fact that he's kind of that one-year wonder where, he wasn't any great shakes except maybe his freshman year at Arizona State. And then last year, it clicked for him. Now, that can work out really well. Worked out really well for a guy like Joe Burrow at LSU. But, yeah, all last offseason, all you heard was Caleb Williams, Drake May, and then Jaden Daniels had the year he had, and Drake May has kind of become chopped liver, I guess, in this draft.
Kelly, is there a scenario where Drake May becomes a great pro?
I think the kid's pretty good. I watched him when he first came on the scene, and just seeing him and his pocket presence, and I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. I think he can move around. I think he can make throws, and I can remember watching, and I always talk about, like, what makes quarterbacks great is when you know that the middle linebacker is not blocked and you got to throw a seam route, or you got to get the ball out of your hand and you know you're going to take a hit and you got to deliver the ball. I saw Drake May do that. And I looked over to my son because I think we were watching it together, and I'm like, that kid right there is pretty good. So, yeah, I think he could. I mean, you never know how these guys are going to do. Nobody really knows how successful they're going to be. He might just be an okay quarterback, but he might be great as well. And he's got that capability. So it's just going to be interesting to see.
Okay, Terry, we've all come to believe that J.J. McCarthy from Michigan will ultimately be a Minnesota Viking. And it seems like for that to happen, there's going to have to be a trade. What if the Vikings end up without J.J. McCarthy? Then what?
It's a good question. I mean, I guess they have Sam Darnold to kind of fall back on if they want to take another quarterback a little later on, whether that be maybe Michael Penix or Bo Nix. But it's going to be interesting to see, how long either of those guys last. I think there's a chance that Penix could sneak into the first round because the Broncos and the Raiders are also looking for quarterbacks out of this draft. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think most people have pretty much determined it's going to be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May as the top three quarterbacks off the board. And then McCarthy is probably 4, Penix is probably 5. And the question is going to be, how high do they go? Do both of them go in the first 10 to 15 picks of this draft?
Kelly,
George,
is there
George, I heard that, I've heard that the Minnesota Vikings are also like they've kind of, they like J.J. McCarthy, but they said if somebody ends up taking him, moving up in the draft to get him, they're not really worried about it because they're kind of liking Michael Penix a little bit more. So I don't think they're worried about it. Like if they get J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix, I think they can win with both.
Okay, before we go to Brock Bowers, let me ask all 4 of us this question. Does anybody believe that it turns out different in the top 3 where we expect it to be Caleb Williams to the Bears? Then we've got in the 2 hole, Jaden Daniels to the Deadskins. And then 3rd, Drake May to New England. Anybody on the panel believe it's something different than that?
No.
I think it's possible that Marvin Harrison Jr. could sneak in ahead of Drake May if the Patriots aren't sold on May as a franchise quarterback, or if they trade the pick and somebody else could take Drake May at 3. But I think for the most part, it's going to be quarterbacks 1, 2, 3. And the question becomes, does somebody trade up and make it 1, 2, 3, 4?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Terry there. I think it could, but wouldn't bet on it.
Okay.
And I also read today, George, I'm sorry, but I also read today that Vegas is willing to move heaven and earth to try to get up and get Jaden Daniels, which I don't know if the Commanders will let that, or let that trade happen. But, I've heard that they're willing to do anything they can, a little less than what Joe Dick or Mike Ditka did with all the picks to Ricky Williams. But I heard that they're willing to do anything to get up to get him.
The backstory there being that Antonio Pierce, the Raiders coach, was on the Arizona State staff of Herm Edwards. Thus, there's this bond between Jaden Daniels and Antonio Pierce. And even though he's saying all the right things, it sure feels like that's where he'd like to be.
Yeah.
Now to the one that has a lot of people in the South really curious, and that's Brock Bowers. Bowers, I think we all believe, is a, I don't know about once in a lifetime, but certainly a tight end of incredible ability. I've got him with the Jets at number 10. So does Billy. The Bears, I believe I'm right, are number 9. And that's where we've all got him. Any chance we get shocked and he goes way higher?
I think there is a
I don't
shot.
think so.
Okay, hold on.
The other
Terry, you go first.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess it's possible that somebody could trade up to 8 or trade with the Bears at 9 to get him. If he falls a little bit, the other team that I keep hearing him paired with is the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Don't want to see that.
Yeah, the Colts are at 15. I've seen in mocks the Denver Broncos taking Bowers. There's 1,000 different mocks out there, but yeah, I mean, if you're the Jets there at 8, maybe if Neighbors is available.
Are the Jets at 8?
The Jets.
I think they're 10.
They were at 10.
Okay, my bad. If you are Jets at 10. That's the wrong one there. Jets at 10, and Bowers is there, and he's the best offensive weapon available. I don't see how you pass up on him.
I mean, if you're going all in the way they've been going all in, wouldn't that be something Aaron Rodgers would want?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you look at the Bears too. I think they're in a really good situation. They're going to get some help if they draft Caleb Williams at first. I think they can get the Fashan. How do you say his name? Terry, is it Fashanu?
Fashion,
yeah. I didn't realize that he and Caleb Williams were teammates in high school, so you could get him help on the in the up front, and then you could get Bowers, or you could go after Rome Odunze. So they're going to give him some help with the number 9 pick. Either way, it's going to be either receiving or blocking.
Terry, help me with this, because I keep hearing that New England has put it out there that they won't entertain draft possibilities until after the first 2 picks. What do you get? Is it 10 minutes between picks in the first round?
15 in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what their phone situation will be like in those 15 minutes?
Could be very interesting, and Arizona's also said the same thing at number 4, that they won't be open for business until their time on the clock comes. So definitely going to be something to watch at 3 and 4 to see if either or both of those teams stick and pick, or if some quarterback hungry team comes up and grabs Drake May with 3 or JJ McCarthy with 4.
So if you've got multiple phone calls, you got a GM on one of them and a bunch of assistant whatevers on the others, how in the world do you let that get to the last 15 minutes? Because to me, I don't think you can think straight if you've got 4 teams. I'll give you a 1. I'll match it. I'll throw in a bottle of bourbon. How in the world, how do you pull that off?
Well, in talking to Rand Carthon the other day about how those things are sorted out at the pre-draft press conference, they already kind of have an idea in mind of who needs what, who might try to come up and move up into a spot. These teams do. They already kind of know that, they're not getting a phone call from the Kansas City Chiefs to come up and draft Drake May, but they might get a phone call from the Raiders or the Vikings or the Broncos to do that. And so there's the old Jimmy Johnson draft value chart, that teams still use a little bit and have modified over the years. But you kind of have an idea of what teams would be interested, who you may get a phone call from, and what the value of the pick is and what that team can afford to give you. So you're really sorting through probably the 2, 3, 4 offers that you may get while you're on the phone, but you already have an idea, I think, of, what the value is of the pick and what the return would be from the team that's calling and you dropping down into their spot.
Okay, that sounds lovely, but is it that simple, Kelly? And I don't mean that disrespectfully at Terry, but what if a team throws a proposal out there that involves a player you'd never thought about?
Yeah, I mean, there's always something that a team can look at, and if you put out a big name or something, I don't know. I mean, that's what makes all this stuff intriguing, George. It really does, because never say never. I mean, if somebody throws something out there and they're trying to get up like the like the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I hear they're, and you just talked about Antonio Pierce has a relationship with Jaden Daniels. I heard they're willing to do anything to move up in the draft. And they really believe that the Commanders are going to take him at number 2. And I've heard that they're willing to do anything to trade up. So if they, are willing to do that and then give I wouldn't think you would give a Mason Crosby, but just say if somebody did that, if they say, hey, we'll give you Mason Crosby too, and they're like, oh my God, you got to think about something like that. I don't think that would ever happen, but I don't think you could never say never on stuff like that.
Are these quarterbacks? Go ahead, Terry.
Well, there was a rumor making the rounds, the other day that the Vikings would even be willing to shop Justin Jefferson. If the Vikings are willing to shop Justin Jefferson, if I'm anybody in the top 10, it's like, okay, if you want J.J. McCarthy that bad, if you want Drake May that bad, bring it on. We'll take Justin Jefferson off your hands and worry about trying to figure out how to extend his contract later on. To me, Kelly's right. If something ridiculous, something preposterous comes out that you can't turn down, you got to listen.
Yeah, that's my thing. Are these quarterbacks in this draft, and maybe Caleb Williams is the only one, but are they worth some massive blockbuster trade? Because I don't think so.
Well, we've already seen in the past that most of the time they're not. Look at the King's ransom the 49ers gave up for Trey Lance. He turned out to be a bust. Got replaced by a guy who was Mr. Irrelevant, who saved their bacon, so to speak, by coming out of nowhere to become what looks like a franchise quarterback. So, they were able to save face because their scouts and their coaches and their people who evaluate talent were able to hit right on a guy late in the draft. Otherwise, the 49ers would be, they wouldn't be the contender that they are looking at Trey Lance right now if they still had him and were trying to squeeze, him out as a starter with the struggles and the injuries that he's had.
Holy cow. I hadn't thought of him in a while. Kelly, witness protection program in Dallas.
Nobody has. Nobody's thought of him in a while. I mean, that's, but that's just what Terry said. I mean, you never really know how this stuff is going to turn out. You really don't. I mean, I don't know if there's ever a cinch draft pick that you think of. I mean, you look at Peyton, but that's just too hard to know how, all these Heisman trophies. Like I was with Ty Detmer. I mean, these Heisman Trophy guys, win the Heisman Trophy, and then it was kind of a bad omen when you won the Heisman Trophy because it showed that you weren't going to be a very good pro. You look at Andre Ware, guys like that. So you just never know who's going to turn out. I think this guy's a really good football player, but it's a whole different league when you get to the National Football League. That's these guys' jobs. And just say that you give this guy everything and he can't stay healthy. He gets out there and starts getting hurt. You just never really know how a guy's career is going to turn out.
After the break, go ahead, Gary.
No, you're exactly right, Kelly. I mean, even looking at Trevor Lawrence and how much people thought he was a can't miss guy. For 3 years, he's been slightly above average, but he's not been the second coming of Peyton Manning or Tom Brady like people thought he was going to be.
Correct.
No, but there's a feeling that there's something pretty close to that in him. Trey Lance.
I haven't seen it yet.
Trey Lance, he might as well be pitching for the Rangers. Luca's cab driver. I mean, I don't know what else.
Just look at it, George. Though you get Brock Purdy, but Terry's absolutely right. Terry's been on fire this week. I love it. He's absolutely right because you go for Trey Lance and you think he's going to be this and this, and it doesn't turn out, and then Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant. So that just shows you this is an off science. Nobody truly knows what guys are going to be. And then luckily Brock Purdy got his opportunity. You just think if Brock Purdy never gets his opportunity, we don't know. You look at Tom Brady, the guy was drafted in the 6th round. I played with a guy that was drafted before him, Spurgeon Wynn. And Spurgeon Wynn, people don't even know Spurgeon Wynn's name.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That.
Exactly.
Wow.
You don't even know who he is, but he got drafted before Tom Brady. I mean, like, and then he was in Cleveland when I went there. Yeah, when he was in Cleveland when I went there, and like, you don't even know who that guy is. So you just never really actually know. It's all about what's inside of you, and it's all about your hard work and getting an opportunity. And when you get your opportunity, hey, you never know.
Yeah,
Great
come on,
line.
Jordan. Rangers won it all
I saw
last year.
Spurgeon Wynn play against the Titans at Nissan or whatever it was, the LP Field, whatever it was. Very early on, he came in for mop-up duty. And
Spurgeon Wynn.
If he was playing, all of a sudden it went to a pick'em. It went from a pick'em to Cleveland +7.
like a Spurgeon
14.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and when we come back, maybe the most talked about person in the draft, J.J. McCarthy. Is he really that good? Is it possible that Jim Harbaugh put the clamps on him and has done him a disservice going into the draft, and people are just now figuring it out? Or is he little more than a game manager in maize and blue? We're back after this.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Nashville. Get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
And then there was J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. Now think about when Jim Harbaugh got suspended the second time and they went to Penn State and won the game. And I don't know, something like 10 forward passes the entire game. And so J.J. McCarthy has been a really hard guy to gauge because in college, it's not like he had the highlights that some of these other quarterbacks did. On the other hand, he seemed very steady. He had a huge drive against Alabama with a lot of pressure on him to win the Rose Bowl. So I'm going to toss it out to you guys. J.J. McCarthy, when you see him, Kelly, what do you see?
I see a guy that wins games. I mean, he only lost one game in college. I think he was surrounded by a lot of folks, but it wasn't Jim Harbaugh and the offensive coordinator's job to make him look good to pro scouts. It was their job to win a national championship, and they had the guy at the helm that obviously did that. I mean, you look at Calvin Johnson. I mean, Megatron. Megatron played at Georgia Tech when they ran the football. So it's a scout's job to understand that and to look through all that, and it's an organization's job to look through all that. I didn't realize just how far and the talk about him the last couple of weeks has gotten to an epic pace right now because I thought he was a good quarterback, but like they're talking about him being the guy. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. He's come from out of nowhere. But when you look at him, I mean, you have to say that he is a winner, George, because the guy won a national championship. He lost one game in college as a starting quarterback. He started as a freshman. So, you can't argue what he did at college. And you're right. When he had to make the plays in some of those games in the playoffs, I mean, he made those games to get his team over the top and to win a national championship for Michigan. So, you can't knock at what he did in college. Now, can he keep that going in the National Football League? And we'll see.
Okay, Terry, you're around all this stuff. You know, April is the month of lies where nobody tells the truth. They all act like they're drooling over him. How many are telling the truth and how many are lying?
Well, I think it's, all the teams that are in need of a quarterback that are not up there in that first 2 or 3 picks are probably at least J.J. McCarthy's the type of guy that's going to pique their interest, whether that's the Vikings, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Giants. It's gonna be interesting to see. To me, the evaluation of J.J. McCarthy, and I say this about a lot of guys who play at these big time schools and play quarterback for these teams that are in the national championship hunt every year, the Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. The thing with that is this: there are so many 4- and 5-star players on the field. It's sometimes can be difficult to cut through everything and say, okay, how much of it is this guy and how much of it is because he's surrounded by an all-star cast, or is this team having success? When you've got a guy like Patrick Mahomes who played at Texas Tech, or you've got even Brock Purdy at Iowa State, or the Titans' own Will Levis at Kentucky, you can kind of see that, hey, this guy has lifted this team without him. They may be an 8-win team with him in college, but they're a 4-win team without him, that sort of thing. But when you're playing at these major national championship contending schools, it can be tougher to evaluate the guy because, when you look at some of the guys that have come out in recent years from those schools, C.J. Stroud was a big, big hit, but there are people who will tell you that Tua Tagovailoa won't win unless you surround him with superstar personnel, which is what the Dolphins have gone and done. So it can be a much more difficult path to try and figure out exactly how much of it is J.J. McCarthy and how much of it is the other players who are on the field around him who are helping him to succeed.
When I throw out what I'm about to, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but I am going to try to drive home a point. Kelly, the description that you gave me a minute ago, I could have put 15 years ago under Greg McElroy. The exact same kind of stuff. Yeah. And yet McElroy is in a TV booth and has done quite well with that career. So how do you know, what is it you see either in these workouts or the interviews at the combine or whatever? What is it you see from McCarthy that makes you say, oh, whoa, wait a minute?
That's a good question, George. It really is. I mean, but when you look at Greg McElroy, I could tell you way back then that he was not a pro quarterback. He was a good college quarterback, and he got those guys in the national championship. And he was, I can't stand, you talked about game manager. I think every quarterback that has the ball in his hand, every snap of the game is a game manager. You have to be able to not turn the ball over. And when you move around, that's what you have to tell these young quarterbacks. Like, everybody, when you get to the National Football League, can take a 5-step drop, or if you're in the gun, take a 3-step drop, hitch, and throw the ball. If the defense gives you what you think they're giving you, and you can roll with the play, and you can hitch, and you can throw the ball, and you can be on time, that's what you want. But the guys are so fast now in the National Football League that when you move and when you're on the run, and when you have to make good decisions. And in certain situations, you have to not turn the ball over. And that's what makes a good quarterback into a great quarterback. And I think back in the day, Greg McElroy, if you want to call him a game manager, sure, go ahead and call him that. But you could tell, he's going to get an opportunity to go to the National Football League because he was at Alabama, but he's not that guy. He's better on TV than he was on the field, in my opinion. J.J. McCarthy, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it either, George. I talked to one of my buddies the other night that was a former Michigan guy, and he went to practice last year, and he could not believe, just talking about what Terry talked about, he couldn't believe. He said they looked like an NFL football team because their offensive linemen were huge. The guys outside were fast. So Terry's right. I mean, it's a hard evaluation when you got guys like C.J. Stroud had with all those receivers, with the Marvin Harrisons of the world, and all the guys that he had. It's a hard evaluation period. So I'm not sure. He's a pro quarterback. Greg McElroy was not a pro quarterback. Yeah. J.J. McCarthy, I can see it. He's a pro quarterback. When he moves, he seems right now, when he was at Michigan, to make the right plays in certain situations and make the right decision on the run when a play breaks down. That's what separates college guys from pro guys, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I don't know. It's amazing to me how far he's come in the last month because, he won a national championship. I thought he was okay. I thought he was a really good quarterback. I think he's a winner. I really do, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's going to be successful or not in this class.
Kelly, I got a question for you along those lines. George brought up how that, a lot of what people are hanging on McCarthy about and pumping him up is how he had that great drive to help win the national championship.
Yeah.
How much do scouts and quarterback coaches and head and offensive coordinators, how much emphasis do they put on a guy's ability to execute in the 2-minute drill? Because that's where a lot of games are won and lost. And you have to have the ability to think on your feet much more so than you do in the middle of the third quarter.
Everything. That's just what I talked about. In certain situations, can you make plays? Because games are going to get tight. And a lot of games in the National Football League, y'all know this, come down in the last 2 minutes of the game. And I remember when I played at San Francisco, I mean, we had, I ended up breaking my leg, but like we did not do anything for 3 quarters and a half. And we had 2 drives in the fourth quarter, 2 drives remaining to win the ball game. And I didn't play good, but those 2 drives played really well. And we ended up beating the San Francisco 49ers 13-12, which is kind of a crazy game. And they had Terrell Owens, they had all those guys, but we came back and beat those on 2 drives at the end of the game when we had to have it. And that's what coaches and that's what offensive coordinator, that's what personnel people look at. They want to look at, the highest level, and under extreme pressure, can this guy make good decisions? And can he win the game? And, there's if you come down to a lot of games, sometimes, Michael Jordan missed shots, but he was willing to take those shots. Some guys as a quarterback are cool, when the game's okay, but then when the game gets tight, they start making bad mistakes and start making bad decisions. And when you're paying a guy a lot of money like that to win games, they don't want that. So it's everything to them, what you do in tight situations when the game is on the line.
Terry, let's go lightning round to the Titans. You believe they're going offensive line first, right?
If Joe Alt is there, I think they absolutely are.
And you're more like 50-50 if he's not there.
Right. I think if he's not there, then they start to look at a Malik Neighbors or a Roma Dunze or, possibly J.C. Latham if he's still there.
Do you think a trade if that happens, Terry? A trade, no trade?
Oh, absolutely. I think they'd entertain a trade. Absolutely. Because I think the value between picks 8 and 13 are probably not as premium as where they are at 7. So if their guy is gone at 7 and they don't feel like there's somebody else really worthy of 7, it would behoove them to trade back and pick up that 3rd round pick they lost or something else similar to that and make a pick somewhere in that 8 to 13 range.
Okay, give me your crystal ball. 2nd pick. If the first one is an offensive lineman, the 2nd pick will be what?
Either edge rusher or receiver.
You've been great to do this, Terry. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Terry McCormick and his NFL draft analysis has been brought to you by
Lori Burnett Leland. You can visit her online at mortgageladyusa.com. Again, that's mortgageladyusa.com.
After the break, stat of the day, and then we'll talk to Predators television color analyst Chris Mason. He knows goaltenders, and we're going to talk about that next.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Thursday. We're getting ready to switch things around a little bit. We're actually going to go with Danny Evans coming up after Stat of the Day, talking a little baseball. Hopefully we'll get Chris Mason at around 3:25, so a little switcheroo, but Stat of the Day is brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, I think we're going NFL draft theme today. George, apologies for the mistake yesterday. As Ty says.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The Titans draft in the top 10 for the first time in a while. Who was the last Titan to be taken top 10 overall?
Oh. Okay, Kelly, let's put the thinking caps on.
First time in a while. Well, How long ago was it, Billy? You're looking at it. How long ago was it?
Well, you don't watch the draft anyway, do you?
Yeah, I know what's going on. Don't be a smart aleck.
Wow.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it was.
Like
So it wasn't in the early
5-6 years.
Yeah, I mean, fairly.
Yeah, fairly recent.
Yeah.
It's one that ought to be in our wheelhouse, and I'm just
a lot going on up there. Is there?
There's some stuff swirling, Billy. One of which is to remember to give you a pink slip tomorrow for that comment. Yeah. Could it be an offensive lineman from Michigan?
No.
No. Okay.
No Taylor Lewan.
Okay. Well,
if you remember, he was, I think, just outside.
That was not a bad
Not a bad guess.
Kelly, I'm in punt formation.
Oh no, me too. Because I had somebody, but when he said that it was 5 or 6 years ago, I can't think about that.
Go ahead and lay it on.
I don't know. Corey Davis.
Wow.
Corey Davis.
That's right, out of Western Michigan.
Western Michigan. Yep, that's right.
And there's one that when I would see him, I'm laughing.
Don said Conklin.
Yeah. I mean, it's
either.
hard when you don't have it in front of you. I remember when I saw Corey Davis, I was like, this is a can't miss.
Yeah.
Great body. I had gotten the chance to cover a body like that, at Georgia Tech, Megatron. Now, Corey Davis
he
didn't
wasn't
have
quite Megatron.
That body, but he had a big body
and could run.
Yeah, and I was like, and not that he was a bad pro,
no,
but it never felt like he got over the hump.
Yeah, no.
Well, and he didn't, he didn't play in the SEC or
God forbid we shoot him for that. I mean,
he played at Western Michigan.
Then it means less.
Yeah, that's where it means less.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Are we done with that?
SEC.
Just means more.
But that's maybe you look back at his college career and
Who knows?
He was a great college player, but
it's a tough evaluation.
Yeah.
So Danny Evans was nice enough to shift with us because I didn't see a text I got from Chris Mason saying not available at that time. We're working to see if we can make another time work. Either way, Danny joins us on really short notice. That may be the shortest notice I've ever given you.
Yeah, and that's okay. I was actually talking to a student at DePaul University, George, my alma mater. I'm in their mentoring program, and God, what a great candidate. She's going to be a fabulous person. And I just told her, I said, listen, if you're going to be in sports, and Kelly, George, you got to be able to change on the fly.
Flexible, yes.
And I said, these are friends of mine. I'll call you back when we're done.
Oh, that is so true. So, I want to throw this one out here. I want to get your reaction to this. So, for a good while, we have mentally penciled in certain cities for potential expansion. Is the Salt Lake City going to the NHL sort of the push the MLB needs to see about Salt Lake City?
I think so. I think let's just go back about 4 or 5 years ago. Las Vegas, who many of us didn't envision as an expansion situation, simply because we just looked at it as a place where people go hang out, have a fun weekend, sports gaming. All of a sudden, the Golden Knights are amazing. It's a great story. They go to the Stanley Cup final. And I think the vibrancy of that franchise changed our perception of Vegas as a sports venue. All of a sudden you start to look at the tournament from a different perspective. You look at baseball from a different perspective. I think the Aces doing as well as they did helped Vegas now be the potential end game for the Athletics franchise. I think what we have in Utah, Salt Lake City is a great town. I mean, I love it. There's some religious elements that some people don't like. But as far as, vibrancy, that is a vibrant town. And I think now what you're seeing, and you're seeing from the turnout yesterday, is that, the state of Utah is going to embrace that team. We don't know what they're going to be called, and I hope they pick the right name. But what they're going to be is they're going to be a vibrant team in a vibrant facility, in a great town. And I think suddenly now, Salt Lake City, which has really worked hard to be an expansion baseball opportunity, I think it's going to be taken even more seriously moving forward, where cities like Charlotte, Nashville, Portland, Montreal suddenly are going to be vying with Salt Lake City for one of those MLB franchises.
Are they vying against Salt Lake City, or is it not a geographic, we're going to do one out of the West and we're going to do one on the East Coast, so to speak?
George, great question. A lot of people are of the opinion it's going to be two teams, George, because otherwise you have an unbalanced schedule. And you'd also, in theory, would like to geographically align. So there are all sorts of thoughts about we need to go west, and we need to go west of Dallas and Houston to get teams into the Western time zone. It's very unfair right now for the Astros and the Rangers and their broadcast rights and their fans. They're playing in a time zone about 40% of the time that is 2 hours behind them. It's not good for their ratings. It's not good for their fan base. So the game, and a lot of people would like to put teams on the West Coast. I think we're going to have most likely one from the West, or west of where I am, west of the Rockies, and one east of probably the Mississippi. So I think you start to see Charlotte, Nashville, Montreal lumped into one silo, and you start to see Salt Lake City, Vegas, Portland into the other.
When do you believe MLB announces these are the two?
George, it's a process. First of all, it has to be negotiated within the 30 owners and within the labor agreement They have to reopen the labor agreement to bring the Major League Baseball Players Association into it. I mean, George, you're talking about 52 immediate big league opportunities, but in reality, about 100 opportunities annually at the big league level. So, of course, the players will embrace it. But when it comes to the city and the franchise, that's a very big statement for the game. You're sharing the wealth. You're sharing a club membership that now has teams that have $4 billion values, and the average is about $1.75 billion. So that process gets negotiated. The teams get vetted out. Their ownership stakes get vetted out. Teams petition and pitch Major League Baseball. And then those clubs get selected about a year and a half or 2 years before they actually begin play. I think by the end of this decade, we will have expansion in Major League Baseball. And in my mind, the sooner the better, George. The game is flourishing. Cities are ready, and cities would be great options. And I think since the pandemic, we've learned more about cities and franchises. I think it's time for Major League Baseball to seriously consider expansion.
What happens, and I think I'm speaking from some level of knowledge, what happens if a city, Nashville, ends up with two vying candidacies? I'm saying Bill Haslam, who I've thought all along was the local, the most logical local, but now I'm hearing Dave Stewart away from John Lohr, because if you look at that MLB Nashville thing, you don't see Dave Stewart's name anymore, but I'm hearing Dave Stewart with one of the Oracle people moving into Nashville. What does that hurt a city if you've got two separate vying entities?
It can, George. It can splinter their opportunity, especially if the viability is not conveyed in a precise manner. What you need is somebody to be the person when the city envisions getting their franchise. Sometimes teams coagulate. They basically get together and they bring their strengths and they narrow their weaknesses, and their viability gets better. But I think what happens whenever you're competing, what seriously happens is different groups have different strengths. And a Major League Baseball franchise has to be run by people who have a commitment to the community, have local ownership, have a vision for what they're going to do on and off the field, to be a partner not only with the community, but the 30 existing entities, and have a vision for what the franchise looks like, where will they play. So imagine this, George, if there's two different groups vying for property, vying for a stadium, vying for commercial enterprises, for network opportunities, imagine the confusion that people throughout the game all over the world would hear from that voice. A singular voice would be better. A singular voice, very honestly, with a baseball background, who can sit in the room from day one and participate in the conversation, is a very important element. But it also has a financial component. And there has to be viability. There has to be liquidity so the team doesn't have financial issues. And most importantly, a vision for what Greater Nashville and Tennessee would have with a Major League Baseball franchise. Whether that's Dave Stewart's group, whether that's Bill Haslam's group, whether that's another group or a morphed group, we don't know today, but baseball's going to demand one voice at the end. And what they're going to demand is they're going to select who has the best overall package. And if they can't articulate their points well enough, it could not only ruin their chances, but ruin the chances for Nashville, or for that matter, George, any other franchise or region that's pitching for a team. They're a centralized voice with a cohesive game plan in the community, in the city, in the state is going to be the way you get a team.
Okay, before I turn you over to Kelly for a couple of questions.
Yeah.
You know where I'll be tomorrow night.
Oh, I gotta know where you be. I gotta believe you're sitting watching a game, spinning a towel the whole game and hoping like heck your goaltender has a great night.
304 row 1 to be exact. Yes,
Atta
thank
baby.
you. There we well, that's not me, but might as well be from an excitement stand. Now,
I can see you in that hat, George.
Yeah. You see that picture, Danny. Go to the left. 304 is in row 1, first row of the upper deck, kind of the corner.
Fabulous seat.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
I am fired up. That's
nothing like
opposite.
Stanley Cup playoff action, George. I'm addicted. I'm absolutely addicted.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there for sure. Kelly, what do you got for Danny Evans?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Cal. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. So y'all talk about expansion. Are we talking like, is this going to be like in a couple of years, or is this going to be, right around the corner? Like, I mean, what are we talking here and with timeline with the expansion with Major League Baseball?
Well, let's back up a little bit, Kelly. I'll play a little inside baseball with you. First
All
of all,
right, let's go.
The commissioner's term is up in a few years. It's like 3.5 years. So I'm guessing he's either going to want to do it on his term and announce it, or he's going to wait for his successor. The labor agreement is up in 26, and that's got to be part of the labor agreement. I helped negotiate the labor agreement a few times. So as a result, that's a collectively bargained item within Major League Baseball. And as a former NFL guy, everybody participates in these high-level discussions. So what we've got here is much bigger than just picking 26 players. It's joining an exclusive club and vetting out the candidates. So I think in reality, we're probably at least 4 years away from a team on the field. But I don't know their time frame in New York. But I think there's some, moving parts that could dictate whether it's sooner or later. The game's never been better financially. This is the time for it to expand.
Okay, so put on your GM hat again. I always tell you to do that. Put on your GM hat again. We know the deal with Shohei Ohtani.
Size 7 3/8, Kelly. 7 3/8.
So, as a GM, as a head coach, you're always trying to put out fires. So a lot of times you're trying to put out fires. So with the stuff going on with Shohei, how do you, as a general manager, handle something like that? Have you ever been in a situation like that? And how do you keep the team together? I mean, I don't know if it's a big deal. Maybe it's not a big deal now with all this stuff that's going on and gambling and all that. But how do you do that as a GM or as a coach?
Kelly, I think the hardest part about that role is the foundation below you and how you played. You get it. Anything that splinters off or distracts any member of your core unit threatens your very viability as a franchise. Not just winning or losing, but your brand. I mean, what Ohtani has done, Kelly, excelling in the first month of the season, for me is extraordinary. While he's rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. He's wearing a big old brace on his right elbow. And at the same time, he's leading the league in hitting. He's having an extraordinary initial season. And that alone, that focus is an extraordinary statement about who he is. But Kelly, here's the problem. When you're the GM, you've got like 75 little things going on that are threatening the very core of your existence as a franchise. And part of your job is managing and manipulating the world accordingly. So much of what you do never surfaces. So, player divorces, issues with health, ownership issues, financial problems, stadium issues, internal problems in the clubhouse. All of these things go on. And in baseball, Kelly, we play every day. So you don't have spin time. You got to basically just morph and go in to your next role. So in Shohei's case, to me, and I still am, I'm just a huge communicator. I just think you have to have that line of discussion with anybody who matters on your team, whether it's your PR guy, whether it's your marketing person, the captain of your team, your play-by-play guy, or Joe Fan in the 35th row in the end zone. You've got to be able to communicate and be aware and what's going on. So in this case with Ohtani, I would do what I always did, which is, hey, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening. How can we make your situation more bearable and give you an opportunity to thrive? But Kelly, your traveling secretary might have a partner who's undergoing cancer treatments, inhibiting his ability or her ability to work. You got to manage that too. And part of why I love the personnel side is everybody's focused on that W and that L at 7:00. But so much of your job is getting your team to the point where at 7:07, they have the best chance of competing and winning. And so much of it, Kelly, has nothing to do with the game itself. It's getting your players and your staff to the point where their ability to compete is at the level they need to be at in order to win or lose that game.
Hey, Danny, Mr. Derek here. I want to ask about something that happened last week. At Vanderbilt. J.D. Thompson, a pitcher, was ejected from the ball game for an alleged foreign substance. And word on the street is that he might have used sunscreen mixed with rosin and was going to his arm, got ejected. Of course, that's something the dugout, the coach points out, talks to the umpires, and the umpires make a decision, and now he's at risk for missing the next 4 games, SEC rule or college rule. Have you ever seen it? Obviously, you've seen stuff like that. It's, it's Major League Baseball, but it's rare in the college level. Number one, what is that mix? Obviously, it creates a sticky substance, and it'll help with the grip of the ball. So what's the background there? How long have pitchers been doing that with maybe sunscreen and rosin? Is it legal in the bigs? And what situations have you seen where maybe it's gotten heated between a coach or an umpire or a pitcher on the mound, going to his arm? We talked about the Joe Niekro situation yet a couple of days ago. We brought up that video, but what do you have there? And I thought that might be a good question for you.
It's a great question. And rather than go into the specifics, because I don't know as much as the individuals in the middle of it do, and I wouldn't want to misspeak, but I can go on a far more generic basis, and I have a lot of experience. One of my favorite memories of my big league career is I'm in the Tropicana Dome in Tampa Bay before a game. I'm there to scout, and I'm there to see a pitcher who I haven't seen before. So I run down to the bullpen. I watch him warm up before the game. He's starting. And then he comes down, he gets in the dugout, and Billy, or Mr. Derek, I apologize.
Thank you.
And so Billy, when you hear the word Tropicana Dome, that means in most parts of this world that there's a cover on it, okay? And there is no sunlight. There's no refraction. We don't have UV rays. He gets in the dugout, he towels down, And then he gets a bottle of Copper Tone and sprays it all over his off arm. And I've got the binoculars on him. And I'm like, oh my God, be more blatant. And for the fans that are listening, what sunscreen in any tacky substance does, and I'll use a baseball just to help us out on this one.
Audio visual. I mean, you don't get that
I've got
anywhere.
an autographed Rob Manfred right here.
Nice.
So when you're coming off the ball, your fingertips impart spin to make the ball maneuver, to get a higher spin rate, to make it sink, stay elevated, run. There's all sorts of grips, all sorts of things. The longer you can keep your fingers on the ball, the more spin you can impart and the more movement you can generate on this little 5-ounce spheroid. The reason guys use tacky stuff, they use whatever, they use mud, they use all sorts of different substances, including sunscreen, is to get tackiness to keep their hand on the ball a little longer. It gives you velocity, gives you movement, it gives you a higher spin rate. When I saw this in Tampa, I literally, and everybody around me didn't know what the heck was going on. I'm the one watching this guy because I got a report on this guy. And I'm thinking, he's cheating. And I know he's cheating, but I want to see what he does when he's cheating because I can take his baseline of not cheating and his baseline of cheating using Baseball Savant, and I can figure out who this guy is. This happened far more, Billy, far more until a couple years ago when they started frisking and checking pitchers. I would say 75% of the pitchers in the big leagues were using tacky substances of various types to augment their spin and improve their spin rate, hence improving their ability to get hitters out. So what's going on is not anything that hasn't happened recently. He just got caught. And the tackiness on his hand, I mean, I've done it. I experimented with it and I could feel the difference. And I've seen guys use Rapsodo, TrackMan, Baseball Savant to measure their spin, measure their movement and velocity with the tackiness. I know it'll surprise you guys, but Trevor Bauer was on the forefront of all this. Trevor Bauer cheated his way to a Cy Young Award. And, this is what some guys do. Some guys get caught. And the kid that got caught, he's going to pay the price, but it doesn't mean it's not being done. It's just at the big league level, you don't dare do it right now because you're frisked in front of everybody on the field.
Wow.
That was
okay, you
good,
asked the question. That was a hell of an answer.
Pretty good answer, Mr.
Wow. Evans. Yes, he is Mr. Evans to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Plaster. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Daniel. Danny, thank you so much on short notice.
You're welcome.
Chris Mason doesn't know it, but he thanks you. This is a former Predator goaltender who had something come up. We were going to have him on at 3, have you about 3:25, and sometimes it doesn't work that way.
I love it. And George, I love you guys and I love the listeners, and I'm so excited about your transition to the radio again. And I'll just be honest with you. I mean, if I can help and educate and inform people and get Mr. Derek to the point that he wants to be at Kelly George level, I'm there for you. Don't worry about it.
Danny, thank you so much.
You got it, guys. And good luck to Nashville getting a team. I would love to see a team in Nashville.
By the way, you know that we do this show from the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue.
Yeah.
And pointing that way is an NHL size rink. And pointing that way is an NHL size rink. There are 2 rinks in this building.
Yeah.
Danny, who do you think was in here in the last hour?
In that rink?
Over that way?
That way. I don't know, George. Throw it at me.
The Vancouver Canucks.
Okay, they're skate around, right?
I tried to put a hex on them.
Well, George, it depends what angle. So what you might want to do for your strength in section 301, you might want to run over there, go to that same section. We used to call it the cabbage curse at the Chicago Stadium. And we would put the cabbage curse on the goaltender, on the defenseman, and on the ice right around the opposing bench. It didn't probably work, George, but we thought it did.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
That's
right?
all that mattered.
Good luck to your Preds. I'll be watching.
Talk to you next week.
Bye, George.
Okay, Danny Evans joining us. Speaking of the radio thing, we are pushing back the actual date that we're going to go on. Originally, it was going to be this coming Monday. It will be Monday, May the 20th. For some reasons that we haven't got anything to do with, some signal issues that are being strengthened right now. So when we do get on 3 weeks from Monday, tune us in on 95.9 FM and up in the Murfreesboro, Rutherford County area on 107.9. We'll go to the break. We will talk about last night's ride on the Hindenburg, where I had a big donut. I'm getting tired of it. We need 3-0, not 0-3, and we're back after this.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best.
located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville. Give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Final segment on a Thursday. Got a couple of NHL games tonight, a few NBA games as well. The NFL draft, one of the last nights where you're not loaded, but you got some stuff to watch tonight if you want to. We'll see where George is going. Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. For bet of the day, give them a call, 615-242-9000. There you go. Or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's see what happened last night, and the Hindenburg sunk.
Good Lord. It's embarrassing. I want to thank the Dallas Stars for participating in this year's playoffs.
That is one of the more mystifying things. I don't get that.
They've got to be doing a handstand in Vegas. I mean, it's one thing, to lose 2 in a row on the road, but these were home games.
Yep.
Dallas earned home ice throughout the playoffs because of this, because they were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they have played like crap.
Only one goal.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously that's not going to cut it. The Stars fans have got to be shocked. So now what we're getting into tonight are teams that are down 0-2 that are all coming home. And the question is, do they fight and show pride, or do they die like dogs? And I'm saying in 3, you like that, Kelly?
I like dogs. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm taking 3 teams that I believe are going to get off the mat, show a little pride, and do something. Let's start in the NBA. The Orlando Magic, in case you were not aware, are in the NBA playoffs. Barely. They have gotten beat twice in Cleveland and really have not been competitive in either game. So now they've got a decision to make. Are we simply going to be Cleveland's roadkill, or are we going to fight when we go back to Florida? I believe they will fight, and I'm taking Orlando -2 at home against the Cadavers.
Need a big night
like
from the Cadaver.
Yeah.
Need a big night from Paolo Banchero.
Yes, that's a big key. Now, to the game out west tonight. The Lakers have played well enough in Denver on 2 different occasions, I believe, to beat about 80% of NBA teams. There's just one problem. Denver is not 80% of NBA teams. Denver is at the highest of high, and they have had to be because the Lakers have been really good. LeBron's been LeBron. Anthony Davis, probably tired of hearing that he goes MIA, has been anything but that. Man, he has played really tough. So now the Lakers come home down 0-2. They have gotten nothing to show for playing really well. It's put up or shut up time. I don't think the Lakers are going to get swept in this series, and I think they're going to prove that tonight. Not by much, because Denver's really good. And every time you think Denver is about to be put away, Jokic just pulls one out of his rear end, and he's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a better low post shooter than this guy. He's going to win the MVP again, 3rd time. But I'm going Lakers tonight, barely, at home in front of a raucous crowd that will be the difference. You like that?
I do like that. The Lakers have played really well. Now they're at home, and they probably need to win both these to even have a shot to keep this competitive. So yeah.
Here's the third one. We're going to go to hockey for this one. Florida Panthers are really good. They may be good enough to win it all. I've thought the same thing about Boston, maybe Carolina in the East. There's some really good teams. Tampa, if you remember, won back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I didn't say that right. They won the championship in back-to-back years. They are not that level of Tampa Bay Lightning. But down 0-2 inside the home state, there's a pride factor. Do they come out tonight, lay it on the line, and pull one out and make a series? Or do they go down 0-3 and basically hand off the baton to Florida? I think Tampa Bay is going to show the pride. Tampa minus 115 at home against Florida. It's as close to a pick 'em as you can get. Those are my three.
That's going to be tough for the Panthers. I've been to a game down there. They love their Lightning. So
yeah,
it'll be tough.
Kelly, I came away from yesterday a little cocky and got
a little humbled.
You know what?
What I want to know is, did Mr. Derek wake up at 1 o'clock today and not give us any visuals on what you picked? I mean, what are we doing here, Mr. Derek?
Oh, yeah, because everybody's clamoring for the visuals.
I mean, I do. I can't even remember what he did now. That shows you just how juvenile my brain is.
You'll remember on Monday when we review.
Okay.
We'll review tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll also remember, though, that we're calling you Mr. Derek now, I assume.
Yeah, remember to watch the draft tonight, too, so you can actually tell us about it on Monday.
Save it, Mr. Derek. Let me live my life. I'll do what I want to do. Thank you.
I mean, grow up, Kelly.
Wake up before 1 and get us some graphics on the screen, homie.
Okay, children, enough. Kelly, you will not be with us tomorrow.
Heading down to Fayette, Vegas, man.
Billy Kelly will not be with us tomorrow. Your reaction.
Thank goodness.
We'll see you tomorrow. Watson Brown will join us.
Coach B.
Watson.
See ya.
See ya.